¿qué impacto tiene la protección de datos en Latinoamérica? Y para esto, como segundo acto que hemos titulado Protección de Datos y Seguridad de la Información en Estados Unidos y Latinoamérica, que será una sesión donde tendremos como ponente a Marcela Pascoaleri. Bienvenida, Marcela, gusto en saludarte. Y como moderadora a David Kivilevic, a quienes ya presenté anteriormente. Y además vamos a llevar esta sesión en inglés. Marcela prefiere llevar esta sesión en inglés para mejor ilustración de los contenidos que se van a tratar. Vamos a tratar temas sobre protección de datos y seguridad de la información en Latinoamérica. Entonces, en este punto le cedo la palabra a David y a Marcela. Adelante.
Gracias, Francisco. Es un placer estar con ustedes el día de hoy y conversar sobre todo con Marcela, que es una invitada de altísimo renombre, y es un placer contar con ella hoy. Entonces, voy a hacer, las preguntas en español y luego en inglés, para que Marcela, en el idioma que le sea mucho más cómodo, pueda responderlos. Hi, Marcela. It's a pleasure to have you here. First, I would like to know what are the challenges that you see for a transnational company regarding the Latin American regulations in personal data protections. En español, Marcela, ¿cuáles son los retos que tú ves hoy en día para una empresa transnacional, sobre todo en el marco regulatorio latinoamericano, en temas de protección de datos personales?
Primeramente, buenos días. Me gustaría mucho hablar en español durante todo el webinar, pero para mí me siento más confortable si hablo en inglés, porque mi primera lengua es portugués. Entonces, voy a hablar en inglés, pero si quieren hacer las preguntas en español, probablemente yo comprendo, pero es más fácil para mí contestar en inglés. Si está bien para todos, así seguimos.
Perfecto, Marcela.
Okay, so I think one of the biggest challenges for companies that have operations, I'm here, let me be very clear. I'm talking about a company that it's global and usually is located in the US and has operations throughout Latin America. I think one of the biggest challenges is creating, for example, a policy that is applicable to all of the countries. Each country has a different legislation about data protection. So I think one of the biggest challenges are the creation of that. For example, in my work at Disney, that hasn't been in place yet. So it's usually used the global policy, which is related to American regulation, to most of the countries. And what they do is to translate the policy in order for the clients or guests being able to see that in the website. They will have access because it's public. However, they will only have access to a content that is probably related to the US mostly, and it's not like tailored to your country. So I think that's a big challenge. Another challenge that I see is in regards to contracts. Whenever a company is contracting with different countries in Latin America, I think they have to include like a data protection annex in the contracts. And this data protection annex, the company is able to mention the specific legislation about that country and also put something that is more general, that it would be applicable to the contract itself. And then in addition to the annex, the company can also put an addendum about the type of information that is going to be processed. And then the company that is hiring the service would be able to check each type of information. So you put a description, like a general description, and then the company would be able to check, because sometimes the contract says something, but the company will have much more access to what the contract is saying. So it's important to put that in the annex as well, to make sure that the annex would be valid even if the contract is not valid anymore. So the language, I think it's another big factor in terms of the challenges for a multinational company, especially because most of employees speak only English. So that's another challenge. So I see the creation of policies and the negotiation of contracts as too big things that are challenges in regards to data protection, because there is probably going to be transfer of information between two different countries, and the company is probably only considering the local regulation in the US.
Perfect. Thank you, Marcela. That's very important, especially in different mindsets and mentalities. Regreso al español, o sea, es muy importante justamente eso, ver el aprendizaje, sobre todo a veces las diferencias de culturas. Algo que hemos aprendido a veces en Latinoamérica es que todos hablamos español, pero no necesariamente es el mismo español. Entonces, justamente esos temas de lenguaje, de cómo irlo centralizando, yo creo que son bien importantes, y aprender, digamos, de cómo integrarlo todo, sobre todo cuando tienes una cultura global en la empresa, y ver esas consideraciones específicas. Ahora, entendiendo un poco más, quisiera ver qué consideras tú que ha sido, digamos, el impacto y el aprendizaje que hemos tenido, sobre todo con lo que es el California Consumer Privacy Act, y su relevancia, si acaso existiese, hacia Latinoamérica. Or in inglés, what do you consider has been the impact and learnings from the California Consumer Privacy Act and its relevance, if any, to Latin America?
Okay, so the California Consumer Privacy Act is a new legislation from 2018. And in the US, as not a lot of countries, the legislation here, a lot of them are by state instead of a federal one. So the California is usually applicable to California residents or business that have, or companies that have business in California. However, big companies like Apple and Google, they are considered that the CCPA are applicable to them regardless where they are. To be honest, I don't see a lot of the CCPA application to Latin America. What I see is that, for example, at Disney, whatever is not Latin America and is not GDPR is CCPA. So, for example, if a guest is saying that he's in Australia, probably the applicable regulation for him would be the CCPA. However, if the guest is saying that he's in Brazil, the LGPD would be the applicable one. So for now, internally, we don't have like separation that it's not US, Europe, and Brazil. I think the company is thinking about creating for other countries, but it might be related to the volume of business that are made between the company and Brazil. What I have seen is, for example, like in a specific channel for LATAM, for example, in a global company. But I don't really see the applicability of the CCPA for Latin America, to be honest, in a practical way. Even for example, the type of information that you can sell is different. The type of consent that you have to give, it's different. So it's not really something that you can apply, in my point of view, outside of the US.
Okay.
Like globally, I think the GDPR might be more global than the CCPA, in my opinion.
Okay, perfect. So, yeah, CCPA, you see it very, very US focused.
Yeah.
Okay, and GDPR could be something global best practice when you don't have a set standard or regulation. Perfecto. Y viendo un poco, bueno, pareciera que GDPR pudiese tener una aplicación más general, sobre todo, digamos, cuando localmente no hay de repente alguna regulación que pudiésemos aplicar. Perfecto. Ahora, Marcela, ¿qué aprendizajes o recomendaciones ahora puedes compartir con nosotros en materia de protección de datos? In inglés, what learnings or recommendations can you share with us regarding that data protection?
Well, as I mentioned before, the creation of a policy individually for each country, I think it's very relevant. And actually, that people that access the website should be able to read policies in different languages. I think that's very helpful. So this is one thing that I think the company should work on in trying to tailor something for each country like the webinar is discussing about Panama, so it should be something specific for Panama, because the type of data protection is going to be different from Argentina, for example. So if you want to put all of the countries in one policy only, that's not going to work. So that's one thing. The other thing that I was mentioning is about contracts, like putting something specific for your country in the end of the contract, that it's only saying, in this case that we are discussing Panama, about Panama. Like you put what type of information they will have access to, which is the regulations that will be applicable to that. And then the contract become more local than international. So I think that's the best way to make the data protection for the company itself, like to protect the company by it. The other thing is also not just creating privacy policies in general, but specific privacy policies for my access to the information, when I want to exclude the information, when I want to sell the information. So different types of policy for different types of requests as well. Because each country is different. So if I wanted to exclude my information, it would be different if I want to exclude in the US than if I want to exclude in Panama, than if I want to exclude the information in Brazil. So you might need a consent, you might don't need a consent, so it's going to be different in each country. So it's important to create different type of data protection policies, different things in contracts. Yeah, I think that's the most relevant that I see, the contracts and the policies.
Perfect, Marcela. So definitely there's no one should fits all type of solution.
No.
Aquí, bueno, yo creo que es bien importante lo que Marcela comenta, de que no hay, digamos, una sola solución para todos, o digamos, o contar con una política y buscar que esa política abarque a todos, sino que es necesario empezar a definir políticas específicas para cada país, sobre todo para poder asegurarnos que nuestras soluciones, que digamos, nuestras políticas estén enfocadas, digamos, estén adaptadas a las necesidades de cada regulación local. ¿Okay? Ahora, para cerrar un poco, Marcela, quisiera que nos dieras tu opinión general ahora sobre lo que es la Ley General de Protección de Datos, ¿okay? que tenemos en Panamá.
¿En Panamá?
O sobre, digamos, o más bien, sobre ahorita lo que es o más bien, volteando un poco la pregunta. Ahora, ¿qué consideras, por ejemplo, en relación con GDPR y su impacto por la TAM?
GDPR. Bueno, I think that it's actually, okay, I think most countries in Latin America, I think excluding Argentina and Uruguay, are not there yet in terms of being equal to GDPR, in terms of having robust regulation that the country should have. So from what I read, Uruguay and Argentina are there, but most countries in Latin America are not there yet. So I can give an example. Brazil, for example, the regulation is from 2018, Lei Geral de Proteção de Datos, in Portuguese. And for example, we still don't have the authority that is going to regulate the law in place yet. So everything is pretty new, and most countries are using the GDPR as a model for their regulations as well. And before we continue, I would like to stop and see if anyone has questions about what I have been saying so far, so we can try to cover that, as I understand that the Q&A is going to be at the end of the presentation or the webinar. And I would like to give people some opportunity to ask something if they want to. Hopefully I can respond.
Perfecto. Gracias, Marcela. Sí, Marcela, digamos, no puede acompañarnos hasta el final, así que si el público tiene alguna pregunta específica para Marcela, pueden compartirla en el chat, ¿okay? Para revisarla, y bueno, y Marcela, si tiene la experiencia, si tiene el conocimiento, con gusto nos ayuda con sus comentarios. No he visto ninguna pregunta,
And well, if people want to ask more and give the questions to you, I'm happy to reply afterwards. You know, if you guys don't have any questions now, but want to send some questions to David or Francisco, feel free to do that as well.
Perfecto. Muchísimas gracias, Marcela, por tu intervención, y yo creo que hay temas bien interesantes que compartiste con nosotros. Y como mencionó Marcela, si después tienen alguna pregunta hacia Marcela y ya diríamos, ya no nos está acompañando el webinar, siéntanse libre de compartirlo igual con nosotros, y nosotros después la remitiremos con Marcela y se las comunicaremos a los asistentes. Okay.
David, Francisco y Fernando, muchas gracias por invitarme al webinar. Muchas gracias a todas las personas que acá están participando del webinar. Bueno, mucho gusto conocerlos. Yo voy a salir del webinar, pero que continúen y que sea muy productivo.
Bueno, Marcela, rápido, sí te llegó una pregunta, ¿ok? Entonces, que aquí preguntan, why Disney is considered a global company for data privacy? ¿Por qué consideran a Disney como una compañía global para privacidad de datos?
Because in addition to the corporate itself, Disney has the parks, resorts, TV channels, studios, productions, so theaters, so people all around the world use Disney products and even buy stuff on Disney shops online. So a lot of the data protection is related to its customers. So most of requests regarding data protection are related to people that have access or buy something. So either they have Disney Plus. In Latin America, it's more common Disney Plus because a lot of channels are US only. And also related to when you go to the movies, right? And if you buy something online. But Latin America is very focused on Disney Plus. Okay, so that's why there's a lot of data protection precautions, mostly related to the subscriptions to Disney Plus in Latin America. Latin America is mostly Disney Plus, the channel.
Perfecto. Muchas gracias, Marcela. Y sí, justamente como menciona, Disney es una compañía que tiene muchos negocios, y justamente el tema hoy en día de Disney Plus, yo creo que ha tenido, digamos, un tema importante en Latinoamérica, y hay muchos datos de usuarios que ahora quedan en propiedad de Disney. Y ahora aquí hay otra pregunta que acaban de hacer la Marcela. Does Disney Plus platform has a data privacy policy, or is one for all products?
It's not a specific policy for Disney Plus. However, there is a specific channel that people in Latin America can contact Disney Plus. So you either can send an email or you can call. So there are different types of channels that, for example, if a subscriber want to cancel the account, or I want to exclude my information, or has a complaint about it, I don't want Disney to sell my information. So you can do it via a website, you can send an email, or you can call. So these are the three types of solutions that Disney has, but there is nothing specific or tailored for Disney Plus, like a policy, no.
Perfecto, muchas gracias, Marcela. Entonces, aun cuando no tenemos una política específica, sí tenemos un canal específico. Excelente.
Yes, there is a specific channel for Latin America, yes.
Perfecto. Muchísimas gracias. Ahora, si no hay más preguntas del público, entonces ahora sí nos despedimos de Marcela y le agradecemos nuevamente su tiempo que compartió, y su experiencia que compartió con nosotros. Y ya, una más, Marcela.
Okay.
Lleguen así. Okay. What will be your recommendations to do a data privacy policy per product, or having a manual that will trigger all policies?
I think it's pretty hard to do just one. I think you should separate in the type of request that the customer or vendor, whatever they are asking the company to do, either is to sell, not sell, exclude the information, request. It's usually sell, exclude, or request, right? So I would create like 3 different documents for each of those. That's my recommendation, 3 different things.
Perfect. Thank you, Marcela. Okay.
Okay.
Ahora
Muchas
sí.
gracias a todos. Mucho gusto estar acá. I'm sorry. Perdóname que no hablé en español.
No pasa nada. Yo creo que bueno, se nota el esfuerzo y agradecemos de verdad, Marcela, tu conocimiento y tu experiencia con nosotros. Listo.
Okay.